All right, here we go with part 2 in our tutorial on how to organize your media using the bin window of Edius. Let's open up our program once again. Now, whenever I begin to work on a new project, I usually like to start out with some general folders that I will always use in every project. For example, one will be graphics. Another one is usually narration. And you're not stuck with just the root name there. We can rename this to anything we like. I'll maybe call it the incoming folder, perhaps, or main folder. And then I usually like to think about the shoot that I was on, and usually I know that there's some general categories that I can start out with here. For example, I know that the main theme of our video is going to be on children's education programs, and so I will create a couple of folders on that. Maybe education as a general folder, and then we can also create subfolders for any folder that we have created. And so we might say something like elementary. We might have a subfolder just for teachers. And you can even go further into this directory and create subfolders of subfolders. So say under the teachers bin or the teachers folder, we might want to have instruction. Another one might be tutoring. And for any of these subdirectories, we could create a whole hierarchy of a folder structure here to help us organize our media. And then when you want to go back and create a main folder, again, just click up to the incoming folder or the main root folder and start some more. We'll say church, and then we have some church shots. We have a lot of shots from Yangon, but in Yangon, we could maybe break those up into temple shots, or pagodas maybe would be better to say. We could have a shot of general country interest, or maybe scenic shots. And then as we go through our main bin here and discover that we need more folders, we can always create them then. So this first little section is church. Pop these into church folder. And okay, here's another one in Yangon we can call ethnic dancing. And go back to the main folder and click on all of our shots. Drop them in ethnic dancing. Here's some more general shots from Yangon at night. Maybe we'll make a new folder on that. Night shots. So you get the idea of how you can go through all of your clips and organize them very nicely with this file structure system. Here's our temple shots. And here we are, some school shots. Maybe we could break this up to some more folders like children singing, children at their desk, rote learning. As you think about your shoot, come up with folders that will easily break these down into manageable sections. So all of these shots were children singing. And then here's a teacher shot, I think. If you can't quite tell by the thumbnail itself, you can just double click on any thumbnail and with your spacebar, play it. So that is a teacher doing instruction. We'll put that under that. But then there's a bunch of shots of kids at their desk. Let's take another closer look at this. And if you want to see something faster than what it plays at normal speed, you can just point to the little slider bar there and go right through it. And as we look at this particular clip, we see that we were letting the camera roll while we were getting good exposure and that type of thing. And as a result, it's probably a shot that we would never use. And so if I come across clips like this while I'm sorting, I will throw those in the trash so that we can eliminate some of the shots that we know that we'll never use. More kids at their desk. But here we have some shots that look like it might be a teacher doing some one-on-one instruction. And as we slide through it, we see that once again, camera was rolling while we were trying to search for a shot, it looks like. Well, there might be a little area in there that is possible. Maybe a 3-second shot there. So rather than throw that in the trash, I think I'll keep it. But as we look at this icon or poster frame, or this PyCon, some people call it, it probably is not the best representation of the teacher working with the student. And so as we go through our bins later, it might be helpful to have a better PyCon displaying in our bin. And so if you want to change the image, by default, Edius will show you the first frame of each video clip. Well, if you want to change the frame that shows to something other than the first frame, you can just point to the clip and click down on your mouse wheel. You'll see a little arrow shows up pointing in one direction. As you scroll your mouse or slide your mouse to the right, you'll see that you can actually play the video. And once you get it to a point that better represents the shot that you think you might be able to use, well, then you can just let your mouse off, and that will now become the frame that represents the shot. If you go too far, and it's something like that, and you want to get it back, well, just again, point your mouse wheel down and slide over to the left this time, and that will bring the shot back. And once you got it where you want, then you can drag and drop it down to the appropriate bin or folder. That one's okay. But this one, again, we're not sure what's happening in this shot, so we might do the same process there to get a better shot that represents what's going on in the shot. Okay, looks like children at their desk. This looks like teacher instructing. Yeah. And that's kind of a real close-up there. That might be a better way to represent that clip. So we'll change that, and then we can grab all four and drop those into the instruction. Okay, not sure what's going on in this one. Maybe we'll double-click it and bring it over into our play window. And looks like it's just 3 or 4 frames of nothing, so we'll drop that into the trash. As you're working with your clips, the more that you can eliminate, the easier it will be again to find the shots that you know you really can use. Plus, it'll be easier when you open the project, it'll be easier to start working with it quicker, the fewer shots that you're actually referencing in your project. Okay, here's some scenic shots. Drop those into scenic. Now, I think more singing shots. Here's school construction. I don't think we had a bin for that one, so let's make a folder for that. Well, you get the idea. I won't have you sit through the whole process of me going through all of this media, sorting through to bins. You get the idea of what we're doing here. Let's take a look at our menu strip options over here at the very top of our screen. But let's go through them. Let's check out under Edius. In previous versions, there have been some options available to us under the logo, but looks like now it's just the logo. All right, the first button on our screen will give you the option to toggle back and forth between just having the bin show So any current bin that you're looking at will fill the whole space of your bin window, and having your file structure or your bin structure showing. You can also make your bin structure smaller by just pointing to the line that goes in between these two and stretching your bin over. Okay, the search tool. Here you can search not only by clip name, but also by clip type, clip comments. If you have added comments about any particular clips as you've been working with your project, you might have come across clips that you know you want to try and find again, so you might add some comments that will become associated with that clip, and here you can use this search tool to find things that way. Real number, record date and time. So a lot of good search options there. Move up. So let's say we're inside one of these folders here, but we want to move up. We could try the move up tool, and that takes us to teachers. And we could go up to education. We haven't actually dropped anything into these, so it's not giving us the best example here, but you could use that tool to move up the file structure that you have developed as you've created your organizational structure here. As we hover over it, we see that there is a keyboard shortcut associated with that you might want to learn if you think that you'll be using this option a lot. So we could try that again and hit the backspace. That works pretty good. We should be all now familiar with the Add Clip button. The title tool that comes with Edius can be invoked by this button here, or also take note of the keyboard shortcut Control T. Now, if you don't see the title tool showing up when you click on that, take a look down at the bottom of your Windows toolbar here. I see mine has shown up down here, and if we click on it down here, then it does show up, and you can start making a title. This title tool is worthy of its own separate tutorial, so we won't get into any details on that, but just remember that you can access that title tool from this bin menu strip up here. Okay, this little icon of some color bars, let's click on that. We see that there are several options available here. First of all, we could create color bars. Let's maybe point down to our graphics bin here before we do this. Now let's do this again and choose color bars. And here you can choose from a number of options as to the type of color bar that you would want to use. Check with your broadcast station to see what kind they like if you want to conform to their standards. Usually SMPTE color bars is fine for most stations. You can choose the level of tone to go along with your color bars. Most stations in NTSC like minus 12 dB for digital color bars and tone. So we can hit OK. And now we have created a clip that has color bars. If we were to drag our color bars clip down to our timeline and play that, we would see that we have 5 seconds of bars and tone. But we're not restricted to that 5 seconds. We could just drag one end of this across and create as much bars and tone that we want. Okay, what else can we show you under this button? If we look at our menu here, we see that we can create a mat. And if we just hit the OK button, we would create a black mat. And I usually like to have a black mat in my graphics folder. We can easily add that to the end of any clip or our color bars. And because we have that black mat there, we can easily dissolve down to black. And I've set that up as a keyboard shortcut, so I can just add that real quick. Now we've got a dissolve down to black. Okay, but you're not restricted to just the color black. We could create any color that we want. Just click there inside one of these, and with your mouse you can slide this around so that you can choose almost virtually any color that you want. You also can slide this bar up to add more luminance to your color options, and when you've got something that you like, hit OK, OK again, and you've got a color mat that color. And you're not restricted to just one color. If you wanted to do a gradiated mat, we could do that as well. Let's change the number of colors we're going to work with. Well, let's get really wild here and say 3 colors. Let's open that up and let's choose color number 1, and we could choose color number 2 and color number 3, something like that. And now you see that we've got a beautiful gradiated color, and we could now choose the direction that we want that gradation to happen, hit OK, and now we've got a gradiated color mat that we could dissolve down to from our color bars. All right, Quick Titler looks like another way to launch our Quick Title program. Okay, let's maybe go back to our folder here. The next option shows you how you can copy a clip, and then using the next button, paste a clip, and that will bring it down to the bottom of the current bin that's open. You could also point to another folder and go up and do a copy. So anything that's on the clipboard is going to copy into that folder. However, it's probably just as easy to use the familiar keyboard shortcuts that you have learned in your word processing program to do the same operation. Let's try that. Let's point to any clip here, hit the Control-C key, go to our new folder, hit the Control-V key, and we see that we're able to do it that way. And because those are such familiar keyboard shortcuts, you would probably find it much easier to use those if you want to do this type of thing than going and grabbing your mouse and, pointing to this, choosing a shot, clicking on it, pointing to it. It's just going to be a lot easier to use your keyboard shortcuts. So these are a couple of more that we might delete from our menu strip as something that we know that we would never use. Here's another one that we probably would never use. If we wanted to show this clip that we have selected, or any clip that we point to, if we want to show it in our player, here's a button to do that. However, it's just probably a whole lot easier to point to a clip and drag and drop that into our play window and do it that way. Or even easier, just double click on any clip to bring it into our play window. So there are probably much easier ways than pointing up to this tool. We might delete that from our list as well. Add to timeline. Well, okay, we could click on this and see our clip show up down here in our timeline. However, once again, if we want to see any clip or take any clip to our timeline, we can also just do a drag and drop of that, and it's down in our timeline. So that again is debatable as to the value of having a button for that up here. Delete. Same thing. We could point to any clip that we don't want. Like, for example, some of these that we've already thrown in the trash that we know that we'll never use. Well, you could grab your mouse, point to it, and then go up to the X button, and it will go away. However, there are perhaps better ways to do that. Just hitting the delete keyboard shortcut does the same. Right-clicking on a clip. If you're going to the trouble of pointing to a clip anyways, you might as well just right-click on the clip, and you'll see that you have the delete option here. Now, this big X doesn't actually delete the clip from the hard drive. So if you want to do that, you should choose the delete file further down the list here in our drop-down menu. When we do a right-click on this, the first delete option is only going to remove the file from your project, but leave it on your hard drive. However, if you go down further, you'll see that there is another delete file. But just be warned, just know that when you choose this option here, you are actually going to be removing it from your actual hard drive. And it'll give you a little warning. Are you sure you want to do that? And then you can choose yes or no. However, this only works if the file is actually inside your project folder. For example, we see that this clip is not in our project folder because we don't see the little blue square there. So now when we right-click on this, we'll see that the option to delete file is grayed out. We're not going to actually be able to delete this clip from our hard drive because it is not inside our project folder. But you can remove it from the project so that it's not being accessed every time you start the project, and you can do that with the delete button. Any others here? Well, here's probably an important one that we need to learn. Oh, what did we miss here? Properties. Okay, let's see that. Once again, it's probably just easier if you're going to the trouble of pointing to your clip, you might as well just use your right mouse button and slide down to Properties here. This is going to do the same thing. What it's doing is allowing you access to the clip to view more information about your clip. Let's do it the other way. Let's use this button option to invoke this little Clip Properties tool. So if you want to know more information about your clip, file information, where it is stored on your computer, the date that it was shot, if you want to know more information about the video itself, what field order it is in, the aspect ratio, the frame rate, the stream type, all of this information is in the clip properties. Also more metadata information over here, audio information. So that's very helpful. A lot of times you will want to know more information about your clip. The main information that you'll probably be searching for from time to time is to know whether it is a progressive, shot in the progressive format or interlaced format, what frame rate it is at. And the one other piece of information that I'm usually looking for when I open up Properties is where that video is on the hard drive. Okay, now the next option here is something you probably will find very handy and use often, and that is you can toggle through the different ways that the bin allows you to view the clips. And there will be times when you find it helpful to see more text-based information about the clip. And so I often will have the clips showing up in this view. When I'm sorting clips, probably this is the way I would like to see them. But when I'm actually editing and working with the clips, I will probably choose the view where I'm seeing more text-based information. Well, I see that our tutorial on the bin window is running long again, so I am going to break this up again and make 3 tutorials on the bin window. So for now, that does it for this portion of our lesson on the bin window.